Welcome to the Divine Style Podcast with Gerlinda, Stella, personal stylist and self-love coach, and Alison, Maiden, psychic medium, spiritual healer and metaphysical teacher. Each episode you'll experience spiritual lessons to cultivate self-love and self-expression so you can become the best version of you.
Hello, I'm Gerlinda.
And I'm Alison.
Today we are talking about the laws of the universe. I'm very excited for this because I guess this is really everything. Our first podcast was talking about everything is energy. Mm-hmm. And this helps us to be able to understand those energies better. Is that right?
Yeah, well, we have 12 universal laws, which most people only know one, which is the law of attraction. And that's because it became very famous through The Secret, the book The Secret by Rhonda Byrne, and also the movie. So there are other laws. There are 12 laws of our universe which governs energy and how it works. And so we're all a part of that. We're a moving part of this huge machine in this universe. And the laws will apply to us. And if we apply the laws to our life, it can be a lot easier for us to make things happen.
Wouldn't that be nice? The easier the better.
I think so. So when we understand things and how they work, I think that it comes down to, like anything, and any engineer will tell you, and I think the boys are better at this than the girls are, to be honest, because we can actually see some balances, going on in our universe. So the old, what you give is what you get type of thing, that's very, very true, but it comes down to, and breaks down into lots of different aspects of life itself. So I'm going to actually go through each law in turn and give you a little brief outline. Does
Fantastic.
that sound good?
I love it.
And you can interrupt me and ask your questions, as you do, which I love. All right. So the 12 universal laws. So the number one is the law of divine oneness. Now, this one helps us to understand that we live in a world where everything is connected to everything else. And think about that. Everything that we do, we say, we think, we believe, affects others and the universe around us. This leads us to sort of thinking that the universe is alive, that it's conscious, which of course it is. And some people have called this the source field, some people call it God, some people call it the consciousness. It all has its meaning in different levels or layers of people's idealistic views. So, even people that follow religions, different types of religions, will see this one as being that we are all connected to the one. And that by saying that, we could be more compassionate, couldn't we? I mean, there's lots of things here that we're looking at as far as what we do to other people coming back to ourselves, and that's the law of cause and effect. But when we're looking at it from a oneness point of view, you and I are the same. We're no different. We're just on different paths and we're learning different things, but essentially we're the same. And I think at this moment in time in our history, this law is probably most important because we're looking at massive changes of ending of slavery, ending of racism, ending of a lot of the things that divided us as a human race. And we can see that really happening around the world with the Great Awakening. And so it's a very exciting time to be alive. So
it is.
I
With
like
oneness,
this one.
Oneness is absolutely beautiful. And I think it's one of those things. I was on a plane today, and as I was in the plane, in the air, I was thinking about all of the intricacies that I was sitting there listening to earphones on my phone with music playing and thinking of exactly that, how oneness, how everything led up to this very moment and how it's all connected, and people just with their thought created all of these things that I got to enjoy and experience. And I guess that's what oneness really does lead to, is joy.
Yeah. And what really kind of like blows my mind is that those thoughts are all interconnected to not only humans in the physical form, but imagine all of the spiritual beings that are putting through information into these human beings to give them the thought of flight, or the fact that, we have amazing information being flowed through our bodies constantly from higher realms and higher energies. And so we are all connected even in other realms, which is totally awesome. Okay, so number 2, the law of vibration. Well, I use this term a lot, as you know, because I feel vibration in every form that it is. Being a very sensitive person that I am, you will have vibration in everything. So we know that the universe moves, it vibrates, it travels in circular patterns. If you got some sand and you put it on a plate, you see actually lots of videos on this on YouTube if you want to look this up. It's awesome the way they do this. So they put sand on a plate and then they send certain frequencies or vibrations through, and that makes patterns.
Fabulous.
And so as we're looking at the patterns, they go in the circular patterns, and it becomes the star of life. So you're looking at the beautiful Merkabahs and all of the changes that are going on within the sacred geometry of that vibration, and it's showing up in the sand. I must show you that.
Oh, I can't wait to see
It's
that.
really
We will have to do
incredible.
a podcast on sacred geometry too.
Oh, yes, absolutely. So everything is connected and everything travels in circular patterns, including life. Because remember how we constantly say it's going to come back. If you haven't healed it, it's going to come back. So that's the whole pattern of things in your life. So you'll keep coming back around until it's been healed, until you no longer need that lesson.
Reminds me of the infinity sign.
Exactly. That's exactly what it is. So the same principles of vibration in the physical world actually apply to our thoughts, feelings, desires, and wills in the etheric world as well. So we have sounds, we have things, and even thought has its own vibrational frequency, and it's unique unto itself. So as souls, we vibrate to a certain thing. People often say to me, how do you do readings over the phone? How do you do readings over Zoom? You're not with that person. How do you do it? If I hear that person's voice, I immediately tune in to them because it's their unique fingerprint. It's unique sound fingerprint, if you like. And so I know that soul, and I know what that soul's messages are going to be just by hearing their voice. I can also get imprints on their thoughts as well. So when I'm tuning into somebody, for instance, and it could be my own children, when I want to know they're safe and they're okay, I'll tune into them. And just by my thought going to them, I'm able to pick up on that. So there's another form of vibration there. And the sound vibration is very important, though, just stepping back a bit, because it also affects the cells in our body. So certain sounds and frequencies are going to feel a whole lot better than maybe, the head banging stuff.
Although some people really do love that. Oh my gosh, teenagers are very much into that.
That's what they're into. That's their vibration at the time. How low that might be.
But definitely a song can make you feel sad, or it can make you feel happy.
Yeah, because the frequencies of that song and also the sounds that you're hearing, like the words in the song, will trigger you or make you feel that same vibration that you felt back then when you were sad.
Yes. And then you listen, and sometimes we choose the music we listen to based on exactly that, the vibration where we're at the moment. And that's why we'll flick a song over and go, I'm not feeling it.
Correct. Not today. Not having that one today. Okay, so the law of vibration is a very important one. And we spoke a bit about the solfeggio frequencies before and how you can help to lift your vibration by listening to different frequencies.
They do. They're so beautiful.
They're amazing. I love them. Okay, so number 3 is the law of action, and the law of action must be applied in order for something to happen. So obviously, if you're expecting to get $1,000 a week, you're not going to be sitting on your lounge watching daytime television, right? And not going out and actioning that job that you need to earn that money, okay?
This is where The Secret got it so confused for a lot of people, I think, because they thought, I'll just picture $1,000 a week coming into my head and then I'm going to get it, but it doesn't work that way.
Well, no, I mean, it would, because what they'd say is, okay, here's the job that's going to pay you the $1,000 a week.
Yes.
But there's the action that needs to happen as well. So you have to apply the other laws of the universe with this one too. So the law of action is going to say that when you want to manifest things on earth, you must engage in actions that support that. Okay, so it supports your thoughts, your dreams, your emotions and words. It's not just going to come and land in your lap because you want it. It can, however, give you opportunity to be able to action the next thing that will give you what you want.
This is actually a really good one to talk about because in our previous podcast we were talking about intuition and I did say in that's how I started my journey. But what I did was started researching, started looking things up. I didn't just sit there saying I want my intuition to get better.
Yeah.
And then the universe put things in my place, and even yourself, you came into my life, and how blessed was I with that. So, and
Likewise.
Just one thing after another, it creates momentum.
Yes.
The action creates momentum.
Correct. If you're putting it out there, the universe will do everything in its power to give you what you're putting out there. And that's where people come unstuck. Because if they're constantly thinking the negatives, they're going to get the negatives. Because the universe goes, you want more of that? Sure, have some of this, okay? So you've really got to change your emotions and your thought patterns around these things that you want. Not think, oh, I'm never going to get that job, or I'm never going to do this, or I'm never going to do that, because that's what you'll get. So it's really a case of changing your mind about things, and then the action can take place. Okay, so number 4 is the law of correspondence. Now this one states that the principles or laws of physics, Okay, so what's happening down here on Earth and the physical action, the physics that explain the whole physical world, like energy, light, vibration, motion, they have their corresponding principles in the universe. So as above, so below. Now you would have heard of the butterfly effect, right? So the butterfly effect is if a butterfly flaps its wings somewhere in Peru, it's going to set off motion. And that motion's going to maybe move that raindrop, and that raindrop might plop on the head of a frog, and that frog might then jump, and then that they might jump in front of a lady who's scared of frogs, and she might scream and run and move into someone else. So it's all these things that will happen because of this one motion. And so everything that you think about, it's quite fascinating to think on those finer details, that every action has a reaction, okay? And it corresponds to the whole of our universe, not just here on this planet. So we must be conscious of what we do.
Yes.
If we're making noise and garbage and mess and mayhem here on the planet, it's actually reflecting out into the whole energetic universe. And so what we want is as above, so below. We want peace. We want tranquility. We want peace on earth. People see that as heaven. People are thinking, once I die, I'm going to be in peace. Everything's going to be good. Why can't we have that now?
And we can.
Yeah.
It is very true.
We don't need to wait till we die in order to get that. What we want to do is we want to bring that in now. And the fact is that we've been told that we can't, you know.
By various outside sources.
Correct. And which we won't go into right now. And this is all about what you can do individually as a person. So know that you can bring in that peace, know that the universe is within you, and know that it's all there in front of you. And you can actually feel that every day. You don't have to be drawn in by the distractions. That's a good word. Okay, let's look at number 5. I love this one. The law of cause and effect. People don't like this one at all.
This is karma.
Okay. So what you do comes back to you.
What you sow, so shall you reap.
Exactly. So this universal law states that whatever happens by chance or outside the universal laws, every action has a reaction or a consequence. Meaning that if you don't sort of follow a conscious life, if you're not consciously thinking, wow, I don't think I'll do that because that's going to hurt that person, or I don't think I'll throw that rubbish on the ground because that's going to hurt our earth, you know, it's down to the really finer details. And let's face it, if everybody did the right thing, we wouldn't have a problem.
Very true. And this one can also be a very good one as well, because when you are putting out love and goodness and kindness, it does come back. It might not always feel like it, but it does in the long run.
It comes back in so many ways. And let me tell you, even down to, I'm going to tell you a funny story at this point, right? So I always say I think I've earned a few brownie points with Spirit, because I tend to
I would say so.
I tend to
most
do
people
things
would agree.
that I like to help people, of course. And I do a lot of that stuff, and it's not for personal gain, as you know. And so I get a lot of brownie points with Spirit. And so when things happen that may be a little bit outside of what we wanted, there's always a solution that comes to me quickly. So we were on a plane coming back from interstate, and we had a late flight, and we were both very tired. And of course, you know, in the airports now you have to wear masks and hand sanitize, et cetera, et cetera. Anyway, so hubby had gone off to the toilet, and he come back and he goes, I've lost my wedding ring. I know. And he was devastated. And he said, I can't believe it. I don't know where I lost it, but it's going to, and we're in a busy airport, and we're thinking, oh. So I'm like, no. Spirit are going to get this back to us. And so I thought, okay, who could we go to ask? You know, lost property, obviously, there'd be something.
I was thinking you meant angels for a second, but okay, well, no, you meant a real person at this point.
my logical mind stepped in. Okay. So now, because of course, the recent COVID situation in Sydney, there was a lot of police officers around in this particular airport. And they were wandering backwards and forwards everywhere. And so we were sitting there, and I was just sort of sitting there thinking. And as you know, I've got that super hearing where I hear like
everything.
A pin drop in Uganda.
Yes.
This is ridiculous. So I'm sitting there, and I heard a conversation happening between this police officer and the hostie about, you know, a mile away. And I heard him say, I know we don't deal with stuff like that. I don't know where you'd be able to find help with that. And I thought, he's got my ring. Like immediately it came to my mind. Anyway, I made a beeline for him. He's a huge copper with a bald head. And I said, you wouldn't happen to have a man's gold wedding ring, would you? And he turned around and he looked at me and he goes, how did you know that? And I said,
I'm a psychic medium.
It's my husband's ring. He's just lost it. And this is the hilarious part. For the room full of people that were waiting to get on the plane, he holds it up and he says, the one ring to unite them all.
Oh, what great humour. Oh,
It was awesome.
That's so good.
So we got our ring back, you see. So this, the law of cause and effect works in lots of different ways. It's not always bad stuff. The good stuff you do also comes back to you. So I thought you'd like that.
I love it.
Okay, so number 6, the law of compensation. Now, this could also probably apply a little bit to my story. This is the law of cause and effect applied to blessings and abundance that are provided for us. The visible effects of our deeds given to us in gifts, money, inheritance, friendships, etc. So you're a nice person, you're going to get nice stuff. Bottom line. Okay. Law of attraction. Everyone kind of knows this one. This explains how we create the experiences, the events and people that come into our lives. Our thoughts, feelings, words and actions produce energies, which in turn attract like energies. So the like attracts like. If you're negative, you'll attract negative energies. If you're positive, you attract positive energies. Now, this can be on a day-to-day basis. People say to me all the time, I don't deserve this, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, okay, maybe not today, but what did you do 3 days ago? Were you in a really foul mood and did you kick and scream and hurt somebody's feelings or something? And they'll go, oh, probably, you know. It comes in waves, so it might not be what you've done today. You might have helped that kitten out of the tree today, but you'll get that down the track a little bit.
And this brings up another point too. Often people say, I don't deserve this, when they might actually deserve the good that comes with that as well. So it can have a really big flip side.
Sure. And this is where you've always got to look at the why behind things, you know. And this is an interesting one, the next one. So the law of perpetual transmutation of energy.
Oh, wow. What number are we up to?
We're up to number 8.
Oh, wow. Okay.
It's powerful. It states that all persons have within them the power to change the conditions in their lives.
This is very, very true. I believe this 100%.
So higher vibrations consume and transform the lower ones. So if you're feeling low, do something nice to somebody. If you're feeling sad, don't lash out, don't be angry. Say, I'm feeling sad, but I want to be grateful. I want to be grateful for everything I have. Think of all the great things you have in your life. You know, look at the things that you love. My kids pulled me through so much in my life. Whenever I was having a really bad time, I just look at them and think, my God, what a blessing. And the actual love I have for them, which is total and unconditional and, you know, bigger than the world, would always get me through and pull me into a much more positive state. So just look at the things that you love around you. And it can be a dog, it can be a cat, it can be anything that you're attached to. It's just really important to remember love heals everything.
And it does, and it shifts your vibration instantly. So it doesn't necessarily mean, like, even with the circumstances, if you are going through something, obviously things take time too. So there's still that resonance and that time lag where, you know, you might still feel bad for a little bit, but it will raise quite quickly when you do think of things that you love. Knowing how to change things can be quite difficult sometimes, but a simple act of thinking of people that you love makes a huge difference.
It really does. And go and do stuff that you love as well. You know, that's the other thing. I mean, get out of the bad situation and go for a walk, do something you like. So number 9 is the law of relativity. Oh, I didn't say that very well.
Oh, we'll say that again. We'll go.
Number 9 is the law of relativity. We'll have to do a bloopers reel. Let's try again. Number 9 is the law of relativity. So this law states that each person will receive a series of problems, tests if you like, kind of initiations.
Oh, I should have guessed this one.
This is for purpose, though, of strengthening the light within, and you can consider that the tests aren't against you, right? And the bad things aren't happening to you, they're happening for you. Okay. So they can be a challenge and remain connected to whatever is going on in your heart. So it's like, this is where it comes from, where we have that law of learning over a period of time what is right and what is wrong. You know, as a child, you're going to make mistakes, aren't you? Because you're learning how to do things. So if you're a toddler and you walk into the table every 5 minutes and bang your head, of course you're not going to do that anymore after maybe the third or fourth go, depending on whether or not
if you figured it out.
You figured it out. So it's the same in every part of your life. You've got to be able to solve problems. You've got to be able to learn to stand on your own 2 feet. And it's the same for spirit as well. We do this on a spiritual level as well.
We've spoken about this too, the fact that when we do have these perceived negative things happening to us, once we've gone through that, we have so much compassion for anybody else who's gone through that exact same thing.
And you are spot on, love, because it is actually the law to teach us to compare our problems with others and know that sometimes our problem isn't as big as what we are making it out to be, that when things are in perspective, we can actually say, yes, I've got a sore back, but I'm actually complete. I have 2 legs, 2 arms, and my health is intact. Okay?
And still find something to be grateful for.
Exactly. No matter how bad we perceive our situation to be, there's always someone else who may be in a worse position, and it's all relative. Okay, the law of polarity. This law states that everything is on a continuum and has an opposite. We can suppress and transform undesirable thoughts by concentrating on the opposite pole, and it's the law of mental vibrations. So, we're talking about the vibrational state. Now, let's just say you come home in a really foul mood, okay? It's like you're hormonal or whatever. You know, you've had a bad day. Everything's gone wrong. You can put on the solfeggio frequencies and you can put on the love frequency, and I will guarantee within half an hour you're feeling a whole lot better, a whole lot calmer. There's a vibration that goes through us with these frequencies that can actually wash away all that negative energy and completely remove it from us. Reiki works the same way, you know, having a Reiki healing, even giving healings.
That does make a big difference to your own energy, doesn't it?
It's huge. I've had people say to me that they've been in a foul mood and they didn't want to touch anyone because they're thinking they're going to give it to someone else. But when it's Reiki, it transforms. So even though they might not be in a good mood when they've got their hands on someone, that person's being protected from that negative energy because of the unconditional love that's flowing through them. And by the time the healing's finished, they're both feeling like they're loved and in bliss. So it's a really powerful tool, as we know, but it can transform the polarity of energy as well. Number 11 is the law of rhythm. I don't know about you, but I like to dance. So this law states that everything vibrates and moves to certain rhythms, and these rhythms establish seasons, cycles, stages of development, and patterns. So the world has its own rhythm. It has its own heartbeat, and it works through the seasons. And of course, we always say here that we only have 2. We don't have 4.
It's either wet or dry.
It's either wet or dry, yeah. But we go through seasons in life, of course, as well. You know, where we're young, we're carefree, we do silly things, we make our mistakes. We like to have a lot of experiences, okay? We're out late at night, we don't need sleep for some reason, crazy. And then we become parents, and then we go through that season in our life, and we know that we have to learn to love unconditionally through that. Whether it's parents, as I said, to your kids, other people's kids, it can be parents to animals as well. Whatever we are doing there, we're learning to be compassionate and giving of ourselves and not be so selfish. So we go through the selfish stage first, then we move into the other people phase. And then finally, at the end, it's really interesting to think about, but we're back to being alone. Only this time, we're actually alone in a completely different sense. We're not selfish anymore. In actual fact, I think we are more giving and more understanding through all of the experiences that we've been through in our lives. So it's very important to have the seasons in anything, in life, in general. We need to embrace that. I'm personally trying to embrace my crone at the moment because I'm at that stage of my life where I'm going into that. I'm still dyeing the grey hairs, but, you know, that might stop at some point. Of course it has to. I think it's important to embrace whatever stage of life you're in.
And I think this works for relationships too, doesn't it? I think you think about when you first leave your parents, you know, it's kind of that rebellious relationship where you're trying to, you know, choose the wrong guy to upset them and leave the nest. And then you meet somebody else. So that person, it can sometimes be the same person, but then you meet the next person where you're very physically attracted to and you want to have their babies. Mm-hmm. And then that sort of dies down a little bit. And then it comes to that more sort of companionship where you just want to be with somebody in in that really deep friendship kind of way. And I think, and like I said, it could be the same person, but sometimes it's different people as well that lead you in that.
Absolutely. And I think you do move into that mode of knowing that you're okay on your own by then. You don't need that other person to be there, but it's lovely having them there in the companionship, as you said. Okay, so the last law is the law of gender. Now, this is a very topical one right now. The last out of the 12 universal laws states that everything has a masculine and a feminine energy. So I'm not saying that this has got to be, there will be a male who is definitely male and a female who's definitely female. I'm saying that the energy will be split into masculine and feminine, okay? That it's the basis for all creation. Okay, so the spiritual initiate must be balanced in masculine and feminine within themselves. So you have a masculine side and you have a feminine side, and they must be perfectly balanced within before you can move on to a higher level and be more of a master of your own energy. Now, I don't know about you, but I know a lot of people that are very either masculine or feminine and not designated to that particular person's physical sex.
Oh, definitely.
Okay, so we can certainly have females that are very masculine in their way, and we can have the opposite. We can have males that are very feminine in their way. So you'd have to think that in that case that the rules would apply there, that they're learning about the balance of being both masculine and feminine. And I think that when you are in a situation where you are in a female in a feminine form and you are quite a feminine person, but you can also get in there and do what you have to do if you are on that, masculine side, you can balance the two quite easily. That's when we've actually reached that really nice balance within us. And it doesn't matter whether you are, heterosexual, homosexual, or transgender, or any of the other terminologies that are out there. It's not about that. It's about having that energy balance of masculine and feminine within you. This is
really important. I think it is really topical at the moment, and I know a lot of people are talking about balancing their feminine and their masculine side. And I know for myself, my whole life I've been extremely on the feminine side, maybe definitely due to cultural and societal norms and expectations of family and things like that. But finding that inner strength and that doesn't suddenly turn me into like a feisty bull or anything, but I certainly feel stronger in myself, and I can be strong and powerful and still really compassionate and nurturing all at the same time. And it is a beautiful thing to be able to create that balance in yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. And once you've done that, it really leads to other things as well for yourself, because balance is the key to everything. And we say everything in balance, and it applies to the energies around you. It applies to everything about your life. If you're working too hard and you're not having enough rest, your life's not in balance. That was me like 2 weeks ago. I went and had a week off, went and, rubbed some crocodiles, which Australia do. It was awesome. And then I had other things come through while I was away where I wasn't working. I decided that I wasn't going to do any spirit contact, no work at all. But I just really needed to get back to the physical. I needed to get back to feeling like a human being on the physical plane, because I spend so much time in the spiritual and doing that work. And there were people still coming at me, even though I was on holidays, people still coming at me with, I need this and I need that. And I was able to say, hey, I'm on leave. I'll get back to you as soon as I can. Or if it was urgent, I was able to pass it on to someone else. Now, normally I wouldn't do that. So the balance is actually coming in for me in that way.
I'm so proud of you.
Oh, thank you so much. I'm finally learning.
I know, it's great.
It's taken a while. But I think, when we're applying these laws to our life, and we can see how it works, and it's an incredible thing to be able to go, wow, yeah, I know, I realise this, and I've got that, and the connection, and the penny starts to drop, that if you are working in conjunction with the universe, and that you are following the 12 laws, and that you're actually doing things for yourself in a way that shows compassion and love and no ego, if you like, you're going to reap the benefits from that, and life becomes a whole lot simpler and a whole lot easier.
And what I love about these 12 laws is how interconnected they are. I mean, they all go back to that first law of oneness, and they really do bring it back to that point. This has been very insightful. I think it's something definitely to live by and really embrace. It's beautiful.
Thanks for listening to the Divine Style Podcast. Please follow, share, and tune in weekly for more spiritual and self-love guidance. You can find out more and ask questions at gerlinda.com.au and alisonmaiden.com.